Do-do-do-do-do. Oh, hello there. I was just reading this book, which is actually based off of a movie. You might not have heard of it. It's a little indie film called Star Wars. Uh, but anyways, on to our main topic of discussion for today. Books. You know them, you love them, unless you've read them in English class, and they've certainly made their impact on the world of movies. On today's episode of Real Talk, we'll discuss book movies, books with movies, books that should be movies, and something else? Ooh, how mysterious. Now let's roll that intro. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Talk. I am here with our book movie expert, aficionado, some may even say master,
Okay.
Haylee.
Hi, I'm Haley. I like books and I like movies.
Wow, that's true. Well,
It is true.
I didn't just bring you on to sit around. I brought
Okay.
you on to talk about some books and some movies. So,
Yes.
what do you want to talk about?
So, I loved reading as a kid, and one of my favorite book series of all time was The Land of Stories. Essentially, it's about these two twins who, for their birthday, they get like a book from their grandma with like Grimm's fairy tales and stuff. But all of a sudden, they get sucked in to the book. Not the book, but like
The world?
the world. And it's
Okay.
so good. And so they are trying to escape the world because, like, it's fairy tales, but like they're not exactly how they left off. They've grown and stuff. And so they're trying to get this spell, the wishing spell, to get back home. And they have to keep interacting with these different fairy tale creatures to get different items. Like Cinderella's glass slipper is part of it for some reason.
Does
Yeah.
anything with that frog?
Actually, yeah, the frog is the first character they meet in the when they get like sucked into the portal and stuff, and he actually introduces them to that spell and stuff. And yeah, so on the cover, I love this cover.
I like frogs.
I love this cover. Yeah, you can see Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, some fairies with like Cinderella's glass slipper, and the big bad wolf. It's great. And so when I was younger, I was reading this series and stuff, and I was like, this would make a great movie and stuff. And so I just happened to Google it. I was like, is there a movie? And there was. There was going to be a movie. And after a couple years, I kind of just forgot about it and stuff. I knew I was like, oh, there's going to be a movie and stuff. I don't know when. I haven't heard anything. I looked it up in 2017. It was not in 2017, but like it got canceled,
Boo.
which was awful because Chris Colfer, the lovely author, was gonna be helping write the screenplay.
Aw.
And it was so good. It's so like action-packed. There's mystery, like, I don't know, for like a spoiler and stuff, their grandma who gave them the book is the fairy godmother. It's just so crazy. It's such a good book. It would have made an amazing movie, 100%. And there's like 6 books. They're so good.
Could have made 6 movies. Could have made so much money.
Yes.
Could have made
Lots
6
of money.
monies.
Yeah.
Count them.
Horrible that they canceled.
1, 2, 3, 6. 6
Sure.
monies.
Yeah.
Well, I guess moving on to some books that do have movies. Not to say that
Yes.
they're necessarily objectively better, but we have
Yeah.
2 examples. Which one would you like to start with?
I'll start with a series of unfortunate events just because it's over here. There's 12 books in the series, and it's about these 3 children who who's a family, they're in a family of millionaires and stuff. They got money, they got a fortune. However, their parents die in a fire.
That's always a downer.
Yeah, so they're orphans.
I hate it when my parents die in a fire.
I know. It's like, what?
It's such a downer on the day, you know?
It is. And so they get sent off to go to their nearest relative. Not their closest, their nearest, like physically nearest relative, who is Count Olaf, who in the movie is Jim Carrey. Who, amazing. I actually just rewatched it today because I was like, you know what? I need to remember all these details and stuff. Great performance. Yeah. Anyway, so Count Olaf is this bad guy who's trying to get the orphans' fortune and stuff. And well, after officially becoming their guardian, he tries to kill them.
That's pretty devilish and evil.
It is. But specifically the 2004 movie, it's weird because it combines the first 3 movies, but not the rest of the 12. And the whole plot just gets shifted because it starts off with like book 1, but then it ends on book 1, but then we go into 2 and 3 in the middle. And it's really weird.
How many unfortunate events are these children experiencing?
There's a lot. A lot of people die. It's really sad. And it's so sad. But it's really funny. Yeah. And just Count Olaf is an actor of all things. And so he continuously disguises himself. And the police and the people involved with like making sure these kids have a fair, have a guardian in their life, they don't recognize him at all. And it's just whack.
Now I'm just imagining him he causes I don't know, it's like it's a pretty old time. He caused a runaway trolley in London onto the kids, and then he just does the Team Rocket hide and pretends to be a bush, and the police are like, we can't find the guy who did this.
No, honestly. Cause okay, in the second book, and technically the second movie, but again, it's still in the first movie. He pretends to be some scientist, and so okay, in the second book, they go to live with their uncle, and who, I don't know the direct term, but he cares for snakes. He studies snakes. He's all about snakes. There's snakes everywhere.
A snakeologist.
Yes. And so Count Olaf pretends to be an assistant to this guy. And then he kills him and blames it on a snake who's called the incredibly deadly viper, but it's completely harmless. And it's just crazy. And then in the technically third book, but then third part of the movie, Meryl Streep makes an appearance as their next guardian, who's afraid of everything and lives off a side of a cliff. And eventually she gets pushed off a boat by Count Olaf and is eaten by leeches.
Oh.
It's weird.
Not a way I'd want to go out.
No.
They do not take big bites. They take a lot of leeches.
Yeah. So it's all just a series of unfortunate events.
Those events seem pretty unfortunate. Well, moving on to the next movie, I've heard it's pretty good.
I love
it's also
this one. Okay.
It.
Yes, It. Okay. It by Stephen King. So, do you know how many pages that book is?
I think I heard somewhere I think it's 1,500.
A little less, but around.
Okay, it's around 1,500.
1,100 something. It's a pretty big book. I originally saw this movie. I've not seen that movie. I saw this movie first in middle school. I hated horror movies. I saw it with my friend. It scared me so much. I could not go by sewer drains and stuff. It was bad. And honestly, I was just terrified of the movie. But then I liked reading, and I saw the book, and I was like, you know what? I was in Walmart. I was like, you know what? I'll buy that. I'll read that. We'll see what happens. And it actually made me like horror movies.
Huh.
Just reading the book, I was like, oh, I get it now.
Interesting.
Like, this is cool. You know, it sucks that these kids are dying, but, you know, it's pretty good. Yeah.
Who cares, you know?
So it takes place in this town, Derry, and it just starts off with a bunch of these kids. I don't remember if they're in like middle school or high school. It's one of the two. But this one kid, his poor little brother was out in the rain, which you should not do because you'll get sick, or, you know.
What if I want to frolic in the rain?
Or you could be dragged into a sewer.
Ooh, by an evil clown.
By an evil clown.
Oh.
Which sucks, you know.
Yeah, again,
you
a
know?
real downer on your day.
Yeah. And just like, okay, so every like 27 years, he comes back, and then he just kills a bunch of kids because that's what he eats. He eats the kids. And so these kids are constantly living in fear because it takes shape of their greatest fear. And then he doesn't eat the kids, he eats their fear.
Oh, okay.
And then just kills them in that process. It's weird. Yeah.
Huh.
Anyway, the book, I like the book. However, it's like kind of known. There's this one part of the book that's like, ooh, a grown man wrote that. Published it. And it's just like, okay, I'm glad that's not in the movie. You know? It's just a thing. It's just like, okay. There are other things that would have been cool. Like there's this giant bird thing.
Oh.
I don't know. That could have been cool.
Well, I feel like throughout our interview, we've gone through some pretty important, just things to know. Like, big birds are cool. And, you know, sometimes it just sucks when your parents die.
Yeah.
And when a evil killer clown drags you into the sewer to feed on your fear and then kill you for some reason.
You know, yeah.
Well, I do think that it is pretty telling that both of these books have had multiple adaptations that kind of proves their staying power. Well, I do thank you for coming on. Well,
You're welcome.
that's all the time that we have for you in this segment. After the break, we will have a special discussion on an odd and blocky movie. Stay tuned.